So if I ask you identify the muscle, the answer is diaphragm. Identify the organ, spleen. Identify the red vessel, splenic artery. Identify the blue vessel, splenic vein. Identify the organ, left kidney. Identify the organ, right kidney. Identify the red vessel here. That has to be the renal artery because remember, renal is the other word for kidney. Identify the blue vessel, right renal vein, left renal vein, left renal artery. This vessel that goes down and down like this, that's the abdominal aorta. Remember, if it's inferior to the diaphragm, it has to be abdominal aorta. This is just a piece of the thoracic aorta up there. In any case, this is the inferior vena cava. If you remember, we have three branches coming off of, we have a major branch coming off directly inferior to the diaphragm. That's going to be this right here, which is going to be the celiac trunk. Okay, then we have this right here, which is, again, going to be singular. There's no right and left. This is going to be the superior mesenteric artery, and this is going to be the inferior mesenteric artery. Remember, for the superior mesenteric artery, you're always going to look for directly superior to this left renal vein. That's your landmark. Next, we have this right here, which is the left gonadal vein. Notice that the left gonadal vein goes and drains directly into the left renal vein, which then goes to the inferior vena cava. Okay. This is the left gonadal artery. This is the right gonadal artery. This is the right gonadal vein. Then we have here, this is going to be the left common iliac artery. The right common iliac would be there. So again, we have the left common iliac. Then we have the left internal iliac artery, the left external iliac artery. Just to make sure we're clear, this would be the left common iliac vein. This is the left internal iliac vein, and this down here would be the left external iliac vein. So this is just pretty much the same thing. The only thing I would say is that right in here, tucked within here, you're seeing the lumbar artery and the lumbar vein. So the red is the lumbar artery. This is the lumbar vein. This is the vertebra in the background in white. So that's what I'm looking for. Okay, and it's inferior to the kidney, which is an important landmark. Here in white, remember, or the sort of gray, that's the inguinal ligament. Remember, inguinal means groin. And if you look in the background here in red, this, and even in blue here, those are going to be the external iliac artery and vein. Once you pass the inguinal ligament, it changes its name. That's why this right here would be the femoral artery. So here it's called, when we're superior to the inguinal ligament, it's called the external iliac artery. When we go inferior to that inguinal ligament, it is going to be the femoral artery. Next, this is the clavicle. So when we find the clavicle, this right here has to be the subclavian vein. This right here in red has to be the subclavian artery. Remember, sub means below. Clavian is referring to clavicle. So sub, below, clavian, clavicle, below the clavicle. This would be the common carotid artery. It's not really showing where it's coming off of, so I'm not a big fan of that because I'm really a big believer in the strict parts of anatomy where you find where it comes from, where it goes to, have some sort of landmark here, just sort of sticking there. That's why I'm not really a fan of it. This right here is the inferior vena cava. This right here is the abdominal aorta. This, again, should be going to the kidney, so that would be the left renal artery. It's not very good, though. These little branches that go down here in red, and you can see the other branch right here in red, that's going to be the right and the left gonadal arteries. This in the background, remember, this is inferior vena cava. So this one that's in blue, you kind of see it like a real stringy that goes to the inferior vena cava. That's the right gonadal vein. And then this one that goes up, this one that goes up to the left renal vein is going to be the left gonadal vein. And then this, again, is going to be the lumbar arteries and veins because, this is on the posterior side. So you're going to see bone back there. In any case, the large blood vessel right here is going to be the abdominal aorta. The abdominal aorta is going to bifurcate, and that means from here to here. Now, how do I know it ends here, by the way? Is I'm looking for that split right here. See the bifurcation, the next bifurcation? So I'm saying from here to here, from the abdominal aorta to the first bifurcation, to that first split, is going to be the common iliac. So right there where the X is the left common iliac artery. Then as you go inside, this is the left internal iliac artery, and then this right here is the left external iliac artery. Next, this is the left common iliac vein. Pretty hard to see the internal iliac artery, at least on, excuse me, internal iliac vein on this picture. Obviously on the model you can see it, but this would be the left external iliac vein. How do I know that? Because this is the left external iliac artery. On the right side, these that are hanging down, the red and the blue, are the internal iliac artery and vein. Obviously, the red is artery, blue is vein. This is the right external iliac artery and the right internal, the right external iliac artery and the right external iliac vein. This right here, and that sort of grayish right there, is going to be the inguinal ligament. Okay, so be prepared for that because we want you to remember your landmarks. This again is the left external iliac artery. This is the left external iliac vein. Once we pass the inguinal ligament, it then changes its name into femoral artery and femoral vein. Same on the other side, the femoral artery and femoral vein. As we go here, now, one thing you're going to look for, again, those landmarks, you're looking for sartorius, the muscle. So that's sartorius coming right down there, everything I'm bordering in. So all of this that I'm covering is sartorius. So all of this is sartorius muscle. Now, this is, just to repeat, the sort of grayish, bluish structure there is going to be the inguinal ligament. This is external iliac artery. Therefore, this is femoral artery. This is external iliac vein. Therefore, this is femoral vein. However, you'll notice that there's a branch. So you'll notice that there's a branch. So this right here, all this right here, is the femoral vein. But then there's a branch that actually follows that sartorius muscle down. So here has sartorius kind of joins with that vein a little bit. Okay, so that vein that's on the medial side of sartorius, this one right here, is called the great saphenous vein. Again, the great saphenous vein, extremely important vein, at least in bypass. We've heard about it. Okay, next. This right here is the clavicle, so please be prepared for that. If I ask you about the clavicle, you need to know that bone. It's an important landmark. If we talk about the very end of it, this right here is going to be the subclavian artery. Okay, so I know it's the subclavian artery because it's below the clavicle. I now am into this vessel right here in the armpit from here to here. This is all going to be the axillary artery. Remember, axillary means armpit. If I point to the red right here, that is going to be the brachial artery. So what I want you to do, what I want you to remember as a landmark is that when you see this muscle right here, the very end of the muscle, you just basically draw a straight line like that. And it says, okay, everything from here to here has to be axillary artery. And then everything beyond that, at least in the arm, has to be brachial artery. So if I'm looking for brachial artery, I'm going to put it somewhere along here. Now keep in mind that yellow is representing nerve. The red in the background that you're sort of seeing right in between there and right in between there, that's actually the brachial artery. But I remember, make sure you read the questions because I'm going to put down the color for something like this because I'm going to say identify the red vessel. Okay. You should inherently know that. I mean, if I'm asking for vessel, it's certainly not nerve. So I don't even have to ask for vessel. Okay. Next. Now the thumb is on this side. That would be your landmark. So this is the thumb would be over here. Okay, so remember, always look for your thumb. So if the thumb, this has to be the radial artery here. And then on the other side, this one right here is the opposite side, the pinky side. That must be the ulnar vein. Excuse me, ulnar artery. So I'm going to do that again just to make sure we're clear. Look for the thumb. On the thumb side, we have the radial artery. And then on the pinky side, we have the ulnar vein. So radial artery. I don't know why I keep saying vein. I apologize. This is the radial artery, and this is the ulnar artery, okay? So I don't know why my brain keeps wanting to say that, but let me correct it again, make sure it's again. This is the radial artery, and this is the ulnar artery. Clearly, I've been doing too many of these videos in a row. This right here is going to be the palmar arch. It's technically known as the superficial palmar arch, but palmar arch is good enough for us right now. This right here, and this right here, and this right here are going to be the digital arteries. So the digital arteries are going down. So we're going to label all of these the digital arteries in red. Okay. Then here is that inguinal ligament. So we're looking at the leg. This is the inguinal ligament. Now, this vessel right here is the left common iliac. This is a left leg. Obviously, you should look for that when you're looking at the models. So this is the left common iliac. This is the left internal iliac. And then this would be the left external iliac artery. So again, left common iliac artery, left internal iliac artery, left external iliac artery. As soon as we pass the inguinal ligament, it changes its name to what? Femoral artery. Yep, so we have femoral artery. This is going to be the left external iliac vein. Therefore, this right here is going to be the femoral vein. Okay, remember the inguinal ligament is what you're using as your landmark. And there we go.